Well, hello guys, I'm ElfNet Gaming, and we're back on the bench here. Now you notice these radios have doubled, and there's a reason for that. I finally got the programming cable for the first one. Now, this is the original radio here that I bought, and I did the video previously on. And yes, I could have ordered this cable, actually a bootleg cable like this from China, for about $5 or $4 or whatever it is. I decided to forego that for the reason of I want to get the radios on frequencies that are usable. I mean, I could have had them on the hams channels they were on, or the commercial channels that I'm not licensed for that, but no, I want them to match some other stuff. I want to be able to get at them and see what settings are. I didn't want to wait 2 months for the cable. So it was actually cheaper. If I was to buy this cable in the US, it was about $28. And I found a seller in the US that had the radio with the cable for $26. So, you know, go figure. I just say, oh, well, it's cheaper to buy another radio with the cable. And now I have a pair, and I've got the part that I needed most, was the programming cable. Okay, so I have a pair. This is the new one here, and it's basically the same. This one actually came in a box this time. The other one came in a bag. This one actually came in its original box. And for those of you watching, if you're noticing the screen and you're having a brain aneurysm, oh, it's on GMRS, that's illegal, just stop. Just stop, okay? Look, I am well aware of part certification, part 95, part 90, part 97, etc. Okay, just stop. I know. Okay, you didn't buy the radios. You didn't pay for the GMRS license, the commercial license. You didn't pay for me to take the ham test. Okay, I did all that myself. I am well aware of it, and with 20 plus years of radio experience professionally under my belt, I am more than qualified to determine if a radio is okay to use on a certain band. Okay, I don't need some armchair experts and keyboard warriors telling me, you know, keyboard warriors that just got a ham license or whatever, to tell me, a veteran amateur operator since 1993, what's legal and what's not legal. I know what these are, okay? And I'm going to do what I want to do with them. And just so happens, I know people personally at the FCC that will not have a problem with what I do, because I'm not bothering anybody else, okay? Anyway, there's that. This thing will pick up VHF. However, it'll pick up VHF. I'm going to turn this down all the way. It'll pick up VHF high band. I have it on the weather channel right here, 164. You can't lock it out. So what I did was transmit 154.5. Now this radio is not actually transmitting. Well, it's doing something, but it's not transmitting on 154. It's actually transmitting back out on 430.5 or something. I don't know. The frequency counter is jumping around. But anyway, we'll go through the program and show you what I did, because you don't want to be transmitting on this frequency or any of these weather band channels. Just put in another frequency. I guess you could put a UHF behind it, but I found it interesting that it would pick up VHF. This was marketed. These are marketed as a UHF radio, and they're picking up VHF. However, I did try them earlier on 154.57 on both radios, and they did not talk to each other. So and they wouldn't hear. I even got a MERS radio and tried it, and it was not picking it up. So the receiver drops off probably right after this 162. You could probably put railroad in it and be fine listening, but at 160, but I think it drops off pretty sharp at that point. So these are only about a watt or half a watt, so you're not going to hit a lot of repeaters with them. I do have my commercial repeater. I can't hit any of that right now, and the only reason that the weather's coming in is because I have the shop door open. It's not sealed, so an RF's getting in. So anyway, we're gonna move to the computer screen capture, and I will go over the program and programming these radios. I'll plug them in, read them out, and try to walk you through what settings are what. Is you do need this cable to set up these radios. You cannot do it with the keypad. So it will probably take me an hour to set up. You will only have a little jump cut. So we will be right back. Welcome back. You're now looking at the BF-T1 programming software. This software is called 9100 program software. I can put a link to it below if you need it. Far as I gather, Chirp does not support this software. Not yet, anyway. And the one I'll put below is to the English installer. There's two versions of this. There's the Chinese version, which you'll probably find if you search online. And the English one, if you do an even more in-depth search, there are people that have it, and that's how I got it. Excuse me. When you first get the radio, you are presented with the channels that you see here. There are 16 channels, like 18 channels programmed, and you have a relay channel, an emergency channel up top. Now, I don't use these. I am not very sure what relay channel is. I assume that that's a repeater channel, is what they call it. Some kind of default, like calling channel, etc., etc. The emergency channel is a revert channel. You know, if there's emergency calls going to go out on that channel, like a paging channel or such, or if you want to send an emergency call via the SOS button on the side of the radio, it will go to that channel. That's this one here. And these are all pretty much set in the ham band until you start getting down to the bottom here, and you got like 452, 400, and 469. Now, like I said on the bench earlier, I hold a few FCC licenses, so I'm authorized to use certain frequencies outside of the amateur band, as well as the amateur band itself. These radios here, I'm just going to mess around with and see what works with what. Yes, I'm going to test these radios with blister pack FRS radios, and if someone don't like it, they can bite it. You know, I don't care anymore. Like I said, I'm tired of defending either side of the fence. Okay, we know what's responsible and we know what's irresponsible. Okay, I'm not going to put this on, say, a police channel and go interfere with them or close to it. You know, I'm staying within the bounds of my license. Anyway, you know, and I'm only doing it because I know radio, okay? I'm not some Joe Schmo who bought them off Amazon to talk to their kids at the mall and not even bother reprogramming. Anyway, you have your channels if you want to program emergency channels. And then what the emergency channel does, like I said, if to send an emergency call via the SOS button or to receive one. The radio, when you first get it, reverts. Whenever it picks up anything on this frequency, it clicks back to the emergency channel, and you'll still be able to transmit on the channel you're on. Your standard channels, I on mine have left relay and emergency blank, and to do that, you just delete that, and it blanks it out. And then 1 through 20 are standard. You have your receive frequency put in here. You have your receiving PL code or CTCS or digital code here. Transmit frequency, transmit PL DPL code. Bandwidth, narrow or wide. I usually go narrow despite what people want to believe. I just got into the habit of narrow, but I know a lot of ham is wide. So it depends on where you're operating. If you're going to use them in a commercial setting, go narrow. If you're going to use them in ham, go wide. And scan add. If you want the channel added to a scan list, click it on. If you don't, click it off. And you repeat this for your channels all the way through. Now we get over here to the left-hand side. Squelch level, I usually kick this about 4 to 5. Okay, I don't leave it there because it might be a little too loose. Vox level, if you're using a headset, which I only have one headset for this radio, but I'm not going to use it, so I leave it at 0 and the Vox is off in the radio. Timeout timer, 120 is a little high. I usually go for about 60 or 90. For this little radio, 60. It gives you about a minute, and that's in case you sit on the button or something. Battery saver is on. Radio, that's for the FM radio, is on. Unless you just want it off, the options are on and off here, and for the battery saver. Work mode, high power or low power. You might as well do high power if you're going to do any work mode at all. Transmitting, otherwise low power would be your friend. Tail elimination, this eliminates the squelch tail, the little at the end that you might hear. I turn that on because it's annoying. Busy channel lockout, I leave that off. What this does is disable transmit while a channel is busy. And the reason why you want this off, you may be in an environment where there's a lot of RF noise, like computers, things generating RF that will show as the radio will think somebody's transmitting. If you have this turned on, you won't be able to transmit. Okay, so leave that off. Key tip. Not sure what the tip. I think it has to do with a lock or something, or maybe the beep. The radio will beep. Language. This one you have off English Chinese. When I got mine, it was in English. But I set it to off, and what that is it tells you when you change the channel. Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3, etc. Relay transfer. Okay, this is part of that relay stuff. Relay receive, relay send. So, if you want to send or receive from the relay. Oh, here's the key lock. Key lock is off. Backlight. You can operate it with the keypad, or you can keep it on at all times. I highly recommend a key light turned on. Scan mode, time carry and scan. I set mine to scan. This is the stock file I saved when I got the radio, by the way. Radio frequency, this is for the FM radio. Excuse me. There are two different types here. You have 76 to 108, and you have 65 to 76. Some countries use 65, 76, and the U.S. and most of the rest of the world use 76 to 108, where the U.S. will use 88 to 108. But, yeah. Timer tip. I think this has to do with the battery saver timer. I'm not really sure. There are options I don't know what do what. So I'm going to open. No, I don't want to save. I'm going to open up my file. Let's see what I have in the radio. Actually, no, this is an old file. This isn't what I have now, because the others aren't added. Okay, to program the radio. You got the cable, plug it in USB. You want to set communications port. It's more than likely USB is not going to be COM1. Mine is COM5. It could be any of these others. Hit OK. Program. Read data from the radio and read. Finished. And you're not seeing the little things pop up, but a dialog will pop up that will say read the radio and read. And here's what I have in the radio that you just saw on the bench. This is, the weather channel and where I got it default transmitted to, and the frequencies. And you can see the settings I have. Squelch need to be up, but I didn't even set the timeout timer on these either. But this is settings that I had in the radio. Once you get everything set up how you want it, for right now, I'm just using this list here for testing purposes. I'll go back and load it with the ham stuff later. I'm just playing with it now, but yeah, once you get it where you want it, you'll go back to program. You'll hit write data to enter phone. It says write to radio W. Dialog pops up. Write data to radio. It'll have write enclosure. You hit write. It'll bar graph will fill up, and then it will say finished. Okay, it's done. That's basically it. You turn off the radio button on top, unplug it, and you plug in another one and program the other one if you got one. That's basically how to program this thing. I'm gonna go and zap this other one right quick. And these are not serial number specific radios like Motorola is, where you got to read and write each one, or clone, or do some wacky tacky thing there. These will just take, if you have a bunch, you can do one code plug and load them all off the same one. We have a machine option here, and this is the radio information. And it says VHF, UHF here, 136 to 174. Now, this radio does not operate down on this VHF very well. I've tried it, and it just would not do it. No, I don't want to clear the data. In fact, I can... Oh. 25. I'll put it on 146.5 just to see. I mean, if it does, then I was wrong on the bench, but I don't think it will. Because 154.57 was higher, and it wasn't doing it there. So we'll see. I mean, it'll happily take whatever you throw into the radio. Is whether it actually works or not is a different story. And I know it'll receive the weather channel, so I just don't foresee it working though, because you know, I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong there. Well, we'll see. No. Well. Yeah, I am right next to it. That's right next to it, and then I move it not even 6 inches away from the other one, and it's kicked out. So, yeah, 2 meters not so good. UHF is where these operate, so I'm just going to set that back. I wonder if I could just put it on this 400 megahertz, but I'm just going to set it back how I had it and call it a day. But yeah, that's basically the programming of the BF-T1. Right, the radio. I like having the weather channel in radios where they'll take it, because you never know. Especially where I live in Louisiana down here, the weather changes like socks, and it can get really dangerous sometimes. Yeah, it's good to have, and I always have a radio. These are really neat. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it for these. We're not wrapping up the video because I got to put the edit together and yeah, I am ElfNet Gaming, and this was the programming of the Baofeng BF-T1, or the 9100 as they call it. They claim it's dual band, but it's actually single band. And if you find a video useful, give a thumbs up. Questions are welcome. Comments are welcome if they're nice. And like I said, armchair experts, you know, if you're going to start in with that, I do have a block and remove comment button. You know, comments are curated, of course. So, you know, do what you want. You know, the rest of the world's not going to be exposed to the twitness. So, and I'll leave you guys with that. Until next time, guys.